go. Here we go. This is the finals, my friends. The stage is set right here. Players are ready to go. Let's get into this game one of the finals. Thanks everybody so much for joining us on the stream. We have a lot of people watching right now, and you're in for a real treat. Both of these players, fantastic performances so far, and you'll definitely learn something about Gwent watching these players play.
So we got regular Radovid versus Lambert Radovid. Who shall prevail? These two lists, while they may share the same leader, are actually very different. Freddy's taking a rather different approach with his own Radovid list, running Macam Ales, you know, with Siltanserville, focusing on a more proactive strategy. He has less reactive options, while Tilbot is running more of a standard list with machines. It's going to be very interesting to see. Both do share the muster lineup with the Blue Stripe Scouts, Blue Stripe Commandos, and Temerian Infantrymen, but the rest of the decks start to differ a lot from there. So it's kind of going to be a little bit of an armor versus machine battle going on here, and it's very intriguing. And yes, Lambert does have a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a lot of opportunities here with the Blue Stripe Scouts and Commandos. Hopefully, for Lambert to get extra value. Of course, he does damage units of the same type, or the exact same type, I should say. So if there are multiple units with the same name, Lambert will tag them all, and that's one of the more interesting choices that Freddy has brought in with his Radovid deck. Of course, Nanika is another one of those interesting choices, and the Mahakam Ale as well. Not traditionally seen in Northern Realms decks. Like exactly like you said, Miguel, both of these Radovid decks are very different decks.
We see a standard Blue Stripe Scouts leads, followed by a Death Mode with the Altar's Thunder denying the potential Reaver Scout to search for the other one, but Freddy does have a second Blue Stripes Hound in his opening hand. He has a very decent looking hand, actually. We've seen this deck in all sorts of different situations. Like, he has struggled. He has had bad luck. It is a deck that runs 1-offs and 2-offs and can be susceptible to bad draws, but in this case, it's looking pretty bright as he has the second Blue Stripe Scout, followed by potentially marching orders onto the Reaver Scout to fish for the last one, and we also see the Siltanserville Macam Ale combo, which is also very strong here.
Freddy Babes does run just a single Reaver Scout for that marching orders. Of course, if that Reaver Scout is spent, marching orders grabs Stennis in most cases. Stennis, of course, in Freddy Babes' hand, but that's the strategy employed here. Marching orders is one of the only two cards that his John Natalis can pull, pulling tactics cards out of the deck. No Commander's Horn in Freddy Babes' list, and we saw Commander's Horn. It's a really important card for Northern Realms. Freddy Babes has been able to get the job done even without Natalis pulling that, and even some games, especially yesterday, where John Natalis has pulled nothing at all. So Freddy Babes has made some real magic happen with his Radovid deck.
Well, Freddy Babe is forced to go first due to the coin flip system that we have going on here. He may be at a little bit of a disadvantage, but at the same time, when it comes to round one, that may not be the case, because looking at Tilbot's hand, he has no other way of fishing for more Blue Stripe Scouts unless he resorts to utilizing John Natalis. John Natalis is his only way. John Natalis into reinforcement is the only chance he has to continue this cycle, or into marching orders into Reaver Scout, would make more sense, actually.
One of my favorite things about Gwent is that you don't just play with the cards in your hand. You're really playing with your whole deck at all times. You have cards just like the Reaver Scout that we're seeing right now that are pulling more cards out of the deck. The Blue Stripe Scouts also pull out the Blue Stripes Commandos come out with the Scouts if they have the same strength. Everything at that strength level that is bronze gets buffed, and a number of cards. You're always able to execute your full strategy and use as many cards out of your deck and hand as possible. And it's just one of the great parts about Gwent. And Northern Realms is a deck that really showcases this a lot. A lot of abilities that we know as muster units or tutors in the case of the Reaver Scout, or access cards, whatever lingo you want to use. Northern Realms does.
I like this Radovid, denying the crewman tag on these two Blue Stripe Scouts, so they will not get an extra boost to the deploy effects by being summoned right next to them. I'm talking about the machines, of course. Yeah, he does miss out on locking Ronvid, but Tilbot also does have Margarita in his hand, which can proceed to unlock said unit. Now, one of the key things here is that Tilbot is running Blue Dream. Now, the Blue Dream, that card at the very left, the special card, has the ability of utilizing one of your opponent's goals that is in the graveyard, spawning a copy of it, and adding 2 strength to it if it is a loyal unit. So Freddy has to be very careful with his timing with his golds. He does not want to give key goals like Shani early on to Tailbot that he can like duplicate them, that would be absolutely devastating. I think that card is very impactful in the mirror and could very well dictate this match as he goes for an early DJ, as he has no Temerian Infantryman in his hand. Like a lot of times players don't go for that. Oh man, this swing!
What a pull!
This swing though, wow.
Well, Dijkstra is known for providing some pretty crazy turns, pretty crazy tempo right there. If Tailbot is able to destroy Dijkstra, he could even play it a second time, as Marvin's Blue Dream will be able to pull Dijkstra out of his opponent's graveyard, even though it is his gold card. Since it's in his opponent's graveyard, Marvin's Blue Dream is able to grab it. And I love the addition of Marvin's Blue Dream.
20-point Lambert. 20-point Lambert here.
This is the best you'll see. That is one of the best you'll see, Lambert right there, getting all three units.
Freddie still has a lot of power plays. He still has the Sil Defensorville. I'm sorry for my pronunciation of that card. I'm Spanish, and that card is just, I don't even know.
Also known as Sheila de Tanserville.
Sheila de Tanserville. Yeah. I try. It's a very strong play. Like, it's representing 19 strength points. Like, he has a lot of power plays here. Also, Prince Stennis, potentially his own DJ, even though he doesn't want to overcommit. But Freddie has a pretty healthy looking hand here. And the locking of the 2 Blue Stripe Scouts was definitely very fortunate, as it prevented quite a lot more value from that battering ram as he went for the DJ extra, or the Dijkstra, sorry. It's a community thing. Like, we call it the DJ because he's spitting some heat there.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's operating a turntable, right? That's why we call him DJ Dijkstra. But I mean, it's we have a lot of pet names for these cards. Of course, we're really close to this game. He gets a Temerian Infantryman of his own with Stennis. What a pull from Stennis right here. Huge. Wow. Temerian Infantrymen do pull all the other Temerian Infantrymen out of the deck. The Blue Stripes Scouts have already previously buffed up those cards, so they come down to 18 points altogether with an additional 3 from Stennis. Armor is applied to the Infantrymen, so even though Freddy Babes does not have a Dunban or Heavy Cavalry in his hand, it is part of his strategy to utilize armor for some extra points. And it's looking pretty good. Freddy Babes has got a pretty commanding lead here. Of course, he is what is known as being on the blue coin. He has gone first, but due to the CD Projekt Red run tournaments, we are regulating that. That is alternating from game to game. You cannot have a cold streak on the coin flip in this situation. Tailbot thinking about pushing ever further here, even though he probably can't catch up without some real commitment.
Probably going over Ronvid. Ronvid is a solid play. In case any of you guys don't know what Ronvid does, he is a silver unit that is 10 strength, that has the crewman tag, and also the Death Wish ability of respawning onto the board on a random row, but with 1 base strength. This unit is very solid because not only does it give you a decent strength point, obviously you wouldn't just add a 10 strength silver onto your deck, right? But it is a sizable play in round 1, and it doesn't have any prior requirements, which is very good for a card like that. But the key thing with Ronvid is, because it comes back when it goes down, that means that it respawns after a round ends. So it provides you with a little bit of carryover, and you just need 1 point to prevent an open pass from the opponent if he has no carryover himself. And he follows that up with the Ballista and takes the round, going down 1 card. Round 1 goes for Tailbot.
Yeah, we were talking about Freddy Babe's lead there and how Tailbot wasn't really able to get over that hump of points right there. So Freddy Babe saw the opportunity there just to take the pass, forcing Tailbot to play 1 more card and go first in this round as well. Although he does have Ronvid, so he is able to, at least he does have a crewman available for immediately at this point, and he also has points. So should he pass right now, well, I guess in either case, Freddy would still have to play a card, so that's maybe a moot point. But Ronvid is such a great card thematically. If you've played The Witcher 3, you know that he takes a beating and keeps coming back, and that's exactly what Ronvid does. If you are a fan of The Witcher series, you will get a lot of joy out of this game of Gwent.
John Natalis still has the ability to pull reinforcements. We've seen John Natalis be a dead gold in a couple of games yesterday from Freddy, because he's not running Commander Storms. He definitely has to be careful with that and make sure. He does have the Banner Tutor, which can presumably go in away, but he's going to play it now and just going to opt to keep his hand, because honestly his hand is looking very solid, and we are looking into a relatively long round 3, and it's machines versus armor and beer?
Armor and beer, man. Drunken knights versus less drunk machine operators. Yes. We'll go with that one, I think. I like the theme of Drunken Knights, though, on Freddy Babe's side, of course. It's called the Dreamin' Machines, maybe, because he's running that Marvin's Blue Dream. It's one of my favorite cards of the new set. It does, it does really cool things like immediately counter muzzle, which we've seen a lot of play in this tournament. But you can find some really creative ways to win using your opponent's goals against them. And of course, double Dijkstra has is always a possibility.
You can expect reinforcement to Trololo here. Yep. Here we go. Now, in a pretty long round like this one, unless Tailbot goes for the lock immediately with Radovid, this Trololo can represent a lot of problem for Freddy Babes, because he does have Dijkstra, and he has 2 cards left in his deck, so he knows exactly what's left. He knows exactly what he's going to pull, and it is double Dunbanner Cavalry. He can even play Neneke to put something in there as well, to kind of like play around with the potential pulls. Because you may not want to pull 2 consecutive Dunbanner Cavalry when you only have 1 target to capitalize on. But he does have Shani as well, so it's looking very interesting here.
I mean, there should be enough armor to take off. I think you play Neneke to put Stennis back in the deck.
He needs Neneke. He needs Neneke for more than that, because he's going to draw 1 card with Syl. So he needs Neneke.
True. He needs to put something back in the deck. Maybe Stennis and a Reaver Scout, so even in the worst situation, you just pull your 2 Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry, but if you pull Stennis as well, then you get you get a Reaver Scout into. Well, I guess if you pulled Stennis and Reaver Scout first, it wouldn't. There is a sequencing issue perhaps with that line of play, but putting Stennis back in the deck seems fine, and then you would be drawing into something with Sheila, but he definitely needs to put something back in his deck. So probably Neneke sooner rather than later.
Looking at Margarita in his hand, I also think that the reason why he's not opting to lock Trololo immediately is because he has last say, and he can preserve Margarita for the very end and opt to reset the Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry. So it's not something that is incredibly vulnerable to. Now here is where Neneke really shines, and Neneke can take any card in the deck and place it on the deck, and because of Dijkstra's ability, he will 100% pull it. He can even return 2 cards and resurrect Stennis.
Yeah.
And just very precise plays can be made here by Freddy Babes, and it'll be interesting to see if it's enough, because while Tailbot is 25 points behind, he's packing a lot of power in his hand.
Just to clarify, Neneke takes cards from the graveyard and puts them back in the deck.
Yes.
And that's really important right now, as Dijkstra will be pulling at least 2 of those cards out of the deck, and at the moment Freddy only has 1, so it's only a matter of time before he makes the decision what cards to be putting back in the deck. And I think that yeah, it's definitely Stennis.
And here we see the DJ, Dijkstra, a 4-strength agent, which means that it's a disloyal unit, which means that it's played on the opposing side of the field, with the deployability of playing the top 2 cards from your deck. So it's a card that basically functions in a way that you're giving your opponent 4 strength at the expense of playing 2 cards in 1 turn instead of 1, which is a massive deal in a game like Gwent, because you only play 1 card per turn. So having the ability to play 2 cards can lead to some very massive swings. And in a deck like this that's so efficient at thinning, if you can know exactly what you're going to pull, Dijkstra can become an absolute monster.
Yeah, and also you made a good point about Margarita. Freddy's playing a boosting game right now. Margarita not only locks, but also resets a unit down to its base strength. So we have the Beer, of course, and we have the Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry, which is going to which is going to be able to get a huge boost off of the armor that Trololo is currently sporting. So Margarita's going to get a lot of value right here, I would say. And
there we have Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry, a 7-strength agile unit with the deployability of removing armor from a unit, which can be from both sides, and boosting itself by the amount of armor removed. So obviously a unit that synergizes extremely well with Trololo, a unit that also gains 2 armor every turn. So every single armor that you see, all those points, they're stacking up, and they're going to be translated over to the Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry, and that's going to provide him with a tremendous swing.
And what's Dijkstra spinning right now? He's going to get a blue.
It's time.
Well, he's going to get a ballista with double crewman, but he gets a blue stripe scout, which is not as big as what could have been. But there's only 2 cards left in Tailbot's deck, so that really was exactly what he was expecting. Though he did get the scout first, so he did get 2 crewmen, the double crewman tag for the ballista. So as much value as possible, and that's just going to be Margarita food right there.
Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry going onto the Siege row and taking 9 armor from Trololo, stealing it for himself and buffing himself up to 16 points, boosting Freddy Babes up to 55. There is Margarita, a 6-strength silver agile unit with the deployability of resetting a unit and toggling its lock. So it can deny the ability of a unit, and at the same time, it can take away all the extra buff and strength and bring it back down to its base strength value.
And really hard not to take that very, very tempting 9 points off the heavy cavalry. But, I mean, yeah, you definitely want to go for the value play, I think, with Margarita. I mean, Trololo will still be gaining armor, which is the only card right here that actually has an active ability, and it is 8 points off of that card as well. It's looked like he's going to go for Trollo. I mean, it's a difference of a point right there, but ultimately long term, just what Shawnee's able to do, what Nanik is able to do with Dijkstra here. I think that right now the card that is remaining in the deck, Tailbot knows Freddy's deck, knows that's a Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry.
He's hovering over Shawnee, opting to perhaps go for the Stannis play first because he knows that the last card in his deck is the Dunbanner Heavy Cavalry. So he has 100% precision here. And I think this is very smart because after this, he can play Neneke and put 2 cards into his deck and then play Dijkstra after that. I just love Freddy's sequencing. Like, this kid just makes very little mistakes. Like, how does he do it? You're so young. Like, why? Oh, I was so stupid with your age. Like, God. He's amazing. Freddy's amazing. Freddy's absolutely amazing. Like, look at this. Look, almost double the strength of his opponent. More than double. Math!
I mean, Tailbot does have a lot of power in his hand with Commander's Horn, of course, being able to reactivate the Ballista, and of course, with Shawnee is able to resurrect on top of that. But, Dijkstra is a very strong card. A lot of people love the card because it's really, really exciting to see what he's going to pull, but he's even stronger when you're able to customize exactly what's going to be coming out of Dijkstra. Nanik is going to put 2 cards back in Freddy's deck, and he's going to get those exact 2 cards from Dijkstra.
Freddy really thinking about his sequencing here, really making sure that he makes no mistakes. But it is 100% going to be Neneke, which is going to return 2 cards to his deck, and then Dijkstra will play those 2 cards. Here comes one of the big power plays from Tailbot, going for the Commander's Horn, a 20-point swing. He has a Siege Master and Shawnee left. So we could expect some very powerful machine swings, but the question is...
Okay.
Ooh, okay, so those seems to be his best options. Okay, so that's going to make Dijkstra a... That's not going to be that strong of a Dijkstra. That's an 11-point Dijkstra.
Yep.
Ooh.
He's just going for as much possible points as he can, and it looks like 11 points is going to be as good as it can be. I mean, Dijkstra is definitely capable of executing much more, but of course Dijkstra can pull silver cards and bronze cards. Nanika can't really make that possible in this situation.
Shawnee's going down.
Sure. Be glad to.
Look at to. She's just a nice gal. Always helping.
There's another look at Dijkstra. When you have a Northern Realms matchup, you talk a lot about Dijkstra, especially in the mirror.
Wait. Why did he place? Why did he not place that next to a crewman?
Ooh, well,
what?
That may have been a positioning misplay from Tailbot there.
I don't.
I mean, he is able to reactivate it with the Siege Master. I can't quite really put my finger on why he would have put it out there.
He had a perfect spot there between those two. He could have dealt so much more damage.
Freddy's going to still have enough here.
And that
Freddy
takes
just looking
it.
at the positioning here. I don't like. Would that have made a difference here? He would have only been able to get an additional point.
Yeah,
on
it wouldn't have made a difference, but it would have made the score a little bit closer, I believe. But Freddy does take the first round, getting that win with his Radovid deck, a deck that many have criticized. All sorts of competitive players have said that it looks like a very bad deck, but it just keeps on winning.
It does. It keeps winning. I mean, he had a little bit of slow going in the quarterfinals matches of yesterday. He took him 3 games to get that win, and then pull the reverse sweep on Adzikov, who was the #1 pro player on the #1 player on the pro ladder for months at a time at this point. So no small victory there, and then of course being able to execute an early win on Super JJ in the semis, and now being able to break through against Tailbot in the finals. This is huge. Freddy Babe's last 2 decks are super strong as well, and he's made some magic happen with that Radovid deck.
There is the Unseen Elder, perhaps one of the most well-performing leaders in this tournament. I really expected big things out of Unseen Elder because of its tremendous carryover power and the, how hard it is to actually counter without taking very specific things that could make you vulnerable to other matchups. So a very, very powerful archetype that Freddy has ran a slightly different variant than the most standard, which is lacking Necker Warriors, but his strategy revolves around utilizing the likes of Ekimara as his carryover in the earlier rounds, and then building up those Neckers in his hand, and then using some insane consumption chains to just generate massive power in the later rounds. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2, Freddy Babes 1, Tailbot 0.
Yeah, Freddie Babe's list not running Necker Warriors. I mean, we've seen him play this deck a number of times in this tournament right now. He's happy to hold on to the Neckers until they're nice and big, double digits usually, dropping them in round 2 and getting good carryover in round 3, and then maybe one consume to cycle that last one in. And it's been pretty strong. Unseen Elder generally being used with Woodland Spirit to consume beasts on your turn, which then of course spawns harpies. Maybe Freddie Babes just thinks Necker Warriors are a little too slow, maybe too much of a counterable mechanic, and just kind of using the value of the Neckers just as they are, as a 3 out of bronze. And so far it's been working for him.
We see a standard King Brand lead discarding 2 components, including Ceres and Morkvark and Olgierd. As Freddie Babes follows that up with a Seleno Harpy in the Siege row, and we see the Clan Drummond Warmonger, gonna discard a Clan and Clay Raider most likely, and get a proc. Ceres is countdown timer to 2. In case you guys don't know, Ceres is a very, very unique gold card. It has the ability of, it has a countdown timer basically. Every time you resurrect something from the graveyard, it procs down once. Clan and Clay Raider is a card that resurrects itself when it's discarded to the graveyard, so it also procs it as well. And this strategy with King Bran is it really promotes a carryover game, right? But I just don't think King Bran's carryover has anything on the Neckers. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's a whole different league, I believe. So it's gonna be, I'm really intrigued to see how this matchup plays out, because I've wanted to see, these two decks have a very similar play style, right? And
the titans of carryover
Yeah,
really consume
yeah.
monsters, and this is a very traditional Skellige list, I would say, from Tailbot. I mean, we've grown accustomed to King Bran over the last pro season and into this one as well. Even with the new cards introduced, just made this deck a little bit better. And while this tournament has seen a lot of variation in Skellige, Krokon Crate being very well represented, this is just a very traditional list. We have the single Heimei Battle Maiden, Restore, probably the target for that. Drummond Warmongers.
there's the leader himself,
There's King Bran himself, of course. He's discarding Morkvarg and Olgierd and Ceres, all units that jump right out of the graveyard again. So, you know, we talked about how Gwent is a game of playing with your whole deck and your hand. Skellige is a faction that makes great use of the graveyard as well. So you have a very fluid access of all of your cards kind of at all times. Especially with the addition of the Heimei Battle Maiden, which allows you to get even more stuff out of the deck. Tailbot's only got 9 cards left in his deck at this point.
I help you. He's just not a good guy. He just doesn't like helping people.
He's going to secure that gate.
Yep. gonna consume one of the eggs and 2 Seleno Harpies. As they are beasts, he will pull 2 Harpies out of the deck, which are 3 strength units that damage the weakest unit on the board by 1. So nice swing by Freddie Babes, pulling him over to 30 strength, 2 points over Tailbot. As Tailbot has some interesting plays here. We see Wolfsbane.
Yeah. Now, Wolfsbane is actually not in Tailbot's
Yes.
deck, but it's been one of the new additions to some of the brand lists, of course. But instead, you know, like we said, Tailbot's adopting more of a traditional,
approach.
more of a
Yeah.
standard list, of course,
Yeah.
running Ceres, Coral, Madman, Lugos, and then the new addition of Muzzle. But a lot of King brand lists have also been running Wolfsbane. So just wanted to let you know that Wolfsbane actually not present in Tailbot's deck, instead opting to go with Muzzle along with those 3 golds that we know so well.
Truly. Talking some crap there, the Grimace, as he he applies the Blood Clean Roar, which is a special that destroys a unit and then spawns a bear, which is an 11 strength, very angry looking bear right there. Providing him with a 12-point swing, nothing too special, but you know, good enough at this point. Freddie Babe's really concentrating, going life coach mode right now.
Tunnel vision, as we call it. I mean, you know, it's all about shutting out all extrasensory stuff. Of course, the players do have, you know, complete white noise headphones on as well, and no visual distractions, just kind of focusing on the game as much as possible. Freddie Babe's looking to establish a little bit of carryover, of course, eating that egg, getting that extra boost that the egg provides on consumption, and now that resilient unit will be carrying over into the next round unless Tailbot can take care of it in some way.
Ekimara onto the board, getting him 1 point over Tailbot, just enough to really threaten Tailbot. He has a lot to consider. Right now, the carryover advantage still goes over to Tailbot because he does have Olgierd and he does have Ceres in his graveyard. Ceres has 1 proc to go. It would be ideal for Freddie Babes to continue pushing until he's preserving that cleaver right there in his hand to lock Ceres. Like, that's his target. He wants to lock Ceres, but the thing is he needs to bait Ceres out, and Tailbot right now is in control of that because there is no way Freddie Babes can really proc that on his own. This is not Nilfgaard Spies. We can just resurrect emissaries and get her out of there. So it kind of has to be through Tailbot's own will. And Tailbot knows his opponent's deck list really well, so he's going to be very reluctant to do so. But his hand is filled with just res cards, a Clown on Clay Raider, and an Ulderic, which is a spy. So it seems like he's going to have to bail on this round really soon.
Yeah, it's really not a great round one hand from Tailbot. I mean, on top of the fact that he has the Encrate Raider, which is not something you really ever want in your hand. Priestess of Freya is definitely more of a late game card, and of course Ulderic represents a liability as far as winning this round, which Tailbot wants to do, as he did go first in this particular matchup. We've seen Freddy Babes pull off some really great wins, showing everybody that going first is not the end of the world. He's been able to come back from being down in card advantage and going first in some games. Freddy Babes has obviously been showing exactly like the best, some of the top level play with some very interesting decks, very unorthodox decks as well.
Now, it is important to note that at this point, Freddy Babe's carryover is in fact superior. He has double Ekimara plus 2 eggs right there, and he is going to get Ceres out of the deck right here. This is, I mean, it is a decent passing opportunity for Freddy Babes, because right now, if Freddy Babes were to pass, he will ensure that he gets that card over his opponent, as he can counter his opponent's spy with his own spy. So this is, you could definitely make a case for passing here. He has the carryover advantage. Ceres has already gone out of the deck, so her countdown timer is reset. But he's actually going to drop it. I mean, this is, you have to take this opportunity. You just got to get rid of her. Very
She's
nice.
such a pain later in the game, right? Because she'll come out again and
Excellent.
again.
Like, yeah, he had to do that. Yeah, like that's the reason Cleaver, like that's what he's using Cleaver for in this match. Cleaver is a 9-strength agile dwarf with the deployability of locking a unit or toggling its lock, which means it can also unlock stuff.
Now, if you haven't seen Freddy Babes play this deck earlier in this tournament, you might be asking yourself, why run Cleaver and not run Morvud, which is the monster faction locking unit that also has the ability of cutting a unit's power in half. But because Cleaver is a base strength of 9, it's more favorable to running cards like Ghoul or Giant Toad, being able to get a lot more points of tempo if you don't need it. Because usually when you need a lock, the lock itself is enough value for you.
Yes.
That's going to deny Ceres in round 3, which is, it's something that, that's basically a gold slot that is only getting value in round 1, when the whole reason you put it in the deck is to get multiple instances of Ceres coming out of the graveyard. It's very easy to get those resurrects to proc Ceres in the first place.
Now, while Toad Prince into Frightener seems very tempting, as it would provide him with a 17-point play, in this matchup, since both players are playing a little bit of the carryover game, he may opt to keep it, but it seems like he's not going to. He's going to discard it, unless he draws into a Manticore.
That's
so
a great
we're
draw,
going to see him
though.
discard the Frightener here. It seems, yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty huge play. You get a lot of get a lot of points for sure. Frightener then also goes into the graveyard. And the thing about the spy units, and these are just the big strength disloyal units, you give your opponent a lot of strength, and in exchange you get to draw a card. And since these cards are so powerful and so game defining sometimes, these cards are doomed. So when they go to the graveyard, from play, they disappear.
Yes.
They no longer exist in the graveyard.
So
However,
Ghoul.
if you're going to use Toad Prince to consume it out of the hand, it goes into the graveyard, and since it was never played, it remains in the graveyard, which is a 12-strength body for the Ghoul to devour later, which makes it a 16-point bronze unit or a 19-point monster nest Ghoul unit as well. So now that the Frightener is in the graveyard, that's excellent Ghoul food. Freddy has so much power left in this round, and Renew is going to, well, Renew would help him if he was able to get some gold cards, of course. But
this is the heart of this archetype, the Necker. It is a bronze unit, it's 3 strength and locked into the melee row, which has the ability of gaining 1 strength every time a unit is consumed, either in the graveyard, from your hand, or on the board. And also has the Death Wish of pulling another Necker out of your deck onto the board, which is where its carryover threat comes from.
So Tailbot is probably looking at his best options here if he wants to actually get ahead here. It's not a lot of great options for him because he does have a hand that really favors round 3. It's possible that Tailbot might just take his card up at this point. I think it's probably an okay pass opportunity. We're going to see, yeah, he's going to go for the pass there. It's a little bit too much of a point disparity for Tailbot to commit a card here, because I think Freddy would have been fine passing if Tailbot wasn't able to overtake his score. So Freddy's going to go up around here. He's already up a game in this finals. Both of these players are going to go to Challenger, but they're playing for the big money now.
They're playing for the glory. They're playing for the bucks. They're playing for, I guess, what else do you play for? That's it.
Glory and money.
What more
fame,
do you want?
Love of the people, of course.
We see a very
Specs.
solid hand, solid looking draws here for Freddy, drawing into the Imperial Manticore as he mulligan right there. Now, I definitely expect Freddy to push hard this round. Even though he could just open pass and equal the state, I think you want to really take Bran into deep waters, especially when you have denied Ceres. And you're looking at a 1 strength Morgvarg and a 2 strength Olgierd into the last round. So that's a measly like 3 strength carryover. That's nothing to worry about for him. Meanwhile, Freddy can really push and get that beefy necker in there at the very end of the round, and thus have quite the carryover advantage. And on top of that, he can try to get that card advantage too, as he has a 20-point lead right here.
Yeah, you're really not too worried about what Morkvarg and Olgierd are going to be doing. As they come out of the graveyard, they are able to get Ceres out as well. But with Ceres locked, like you said, Miguel, 3 points, really not much to break a sweat over. Freddy Babes does have a lot of points right now, and looks like he's not going to stop. And this is what we would call in Gwent. Freddy Babes is now in the bleed role. He's trying to bleed resources out of his opponent, so his round 3 is much worse. Cards like Priestess of Freya, cards like Sigurd Rifa, cards that can access the graveyard and get large potential, basically replaying all the cards that have already been played in the game and playing it again, as he chooses to play Priestess of Freya to res an Uncrate Raider. Is that what happened there?
No, he
it
went
was the
Priestess of
Warmonger.
Freya into Warmonger.
It was
yeah,
the Warmonger.
Yeah.
I was so busy explaining the Priestess of Freya, I actually missed the target.
I'm looking at Tailbot's hand, and he has all the answers. Like, he has Coral for the Neckers, which is definitely a very key here. We're having some setting.
I don't know if the stream can hear that, so we're okay. So, I mean, Freddy Babes has really got a commanding point lead here. I mean, I think that he really can push. He can really push Tailbot to spend some really important cards here. Again, we've seen Freddy do some pretty crazy things being down 2 cards, and right now he is down 2 cards. But, he's not afraid to push. He's not afraid to push here.
It's going to be very interesting, though, because Tailbot is very aware of Freddy's strategy, and he is preserving his answer. Coral will transform the Necker into a 2-strength Jade figurine, and thus completely erase it from the game. It's transformed, like it's not going to the graveyard. There's no way Freddy Babes can just utilize that Necker anymore, and he doesn't have any other Necker in his hand, so that's definitely going to be a problem. As he really is kind of relying on that carryover advantage to overwhelm Tailbot here. Meanwhile, at the same time, he's obviously trying to get that extra card out of him, right? But in a short round, if you don't have that carryover, I don't think your plays are strong enough to withstand the power of the resurrection game of Skellige.
Yeah, I mean, really, you push really, really hard as a consume monsters player in round 2, and you are gifted round 1 because of your carryover can be so devastating. Sometimes the carryover alone can win you the game, but Coral will isolate that. Freddy Babes knows that Coral is a threat. In the previous matchup, the semifinals against Super JJ was famously not running Coral, so that was never a threat that Freddy Babes had to deal with. This is a different story here. Looks like he's just going to go ahead and just deal some damage to it.
Priestess of Freya onto the War
wants to
Harpooner,
hold on to
bringing the
Coral
Necker
for later
onto
in
the back.
round
He wants
3.
to muzzle it.
He
may want to muzzle and preserve Coral for another potential Necker.
Yeah.
And
Freddy
I
Babes
think
sees
Freddy
it,
Babes is acknowledging that, and he's going to pass here. But it's a little bit too late because he is only 7 points ahead. So muzzle will be a 10-point strength swing, which will be enough for Tailbot to take this round, and will steal his carryover. And that could be absolutely devastating for Freddy here.
Yeah, I mean, taking it away from you or quarreling it, either way, it's definitely not going to be able to proc its Death Wish, and thus not going to be able to be the carryover that you need. So in this case, Freddy, if you're not going to get the carryover anyway, if you know what's going to happen, if you see it already happening, Freddy Babes has only seen Ceres at this point, and with only 3 cards left in Tailbot's deck, you got to put your opponent on having either Coral or Muzzle for sure. So it's going to take it away right now. Now that doesn't help Tailbot's carryover at all. It only matters to Freddy Babes. So that's just going to be Tailbot's going to have a little bit more going into round 3. Not a lot, not a negligible amount, but not a lot.
He's like, mine. He takes it down. But the most crucial thing here is that he's been able to deal with the carryover of this deck and also still preserve Coral. I think he's immediately going to replace his Armor Smith. It's just not representing much value at all in this matchup. Every single other card in his hand is very powerful. While Freddy's hovering over the Seleno Harpy, debating whether or not he should replace it, I think
Well, he still has a Harpy. I mean,
Yeah,
correct me
he
if I'm
doesn't-
wong. Does he still have a Harpy in his deck? You don't want to
believe-
draw into something.
No, he consumed the last one with the Ekimara.
Okay.
Yeah, he's thin through that, but I guess he's opting to, because he hasn't played the Woodland Spirit. Like, there's certain cards that he could have fished for, but maybe he's just opting to go with this instead.
So, I mean, let's just recognize how much power in Freddy Babe's deck. That first ghoul represents a 16-point play, and the Monster Nest represents a 20-point play. So that's 36 points in 2 cards that Freddy has right now, which is, pretty good. I mean, the Seleno Harpy is not fantastic, but then again, there is, of course, Renew available as well. So, being able to have the last say in this round and have cards of that potential could be great. Tailbot probably not going to get a lot of value out of that Armor Smith. And, the Coral, if Freddy Babes can play probably Seleno, one of those giant units is going to get Coraled if Tailbot holds on to Coral until the very last card. So,
Well,
Seleno Harpy, Renew, and then likely the smaller of the ghouls and then the larger of the ghouls. And we're going to have to see how that all shakes out.
Yep. I take back what I said about the Armor Smith. It is reasonable for Tailbot to keep it because Freddy has not played the Woodland Spirit yet. And even in a short round like this, Armor Smith can find some very decent value as, the Woodland Spirit could really feed on something like the Bear and wear it down in 4 turns and prevent, if you prevent all that damage, Armor Smith could still be worth a lot of value. But because he has not led off with it, because he has not played it yet, Tailbot is assuming that he doesn't have it, so he's going to drop the Armor Smith and going to protect the two strongest units in both rows from Fog.
So there's the Monster Nest, of course, Swan of Brawn, Necrophage, or Insectoid unit, but lately monsters have been only picking one of those units, and that is the Ghoul that consumes the Manticore in the graveyard. Generally, that's how it goes.
Yes.
Of course, you have a boosted Ghoul at 7, consuming a 13-point unit. It's a 20-point play in 1 card. Pretty good for a silver. You take that any day.
Oh, it's an excellent combo and one of the backbones of this deck. The question is, will it be enough to combat the power of Coral and Madman Lugos? This Coral, this. Oh, okay.
Yeah, respecting Coral here.
Yeah, okay. That is a 12 strength swing, which does put Freddy up to 17 points. He's 7 points behind from Tailbot, and he does have the potential of playing Ghoul here. He also does have last say, so he may be preserving that play for the very end. And he also may be damaging that Armor Smith to consume it with the Karen that he will be getting back with Renew.
Yeah, so Freddy Babes will be able to play the Ghoul last, which will be a 17-point Ghoul right there. Madman Lugos is able to at least get decent value because there is a giant target on the board. But then again, what do you get Coral if you hit it with Lugos? So it's actually kind of it's mitigating a lot of the stuff that Tailbot can do, even though he's holding 2 gold cards.
He makes the laws here.
There is only one choice apparently, and that is
he does hit that with 9.
The 9 strength.
The
right?
Warmonger.
Yes,
the Warmonger.
right. Warmonger,
Down
double
goes
veteran.
Karen, providing him with a 15-point swing. He is 8 points behind, but Coral has no solid target here.
Freddy Babes is going to go up 2-0, I think, in this one.
Wait. He's gonna hit this. 16 points.
17 points, right? Yeah. He's okay. He's okay, folks. Look at this
Timing!
pointer.
Timing this kid. Oh my God! Are you kidding me? That sequencing, not going for the Ghoul with the Monster's Nest first, preserving it for the very end, and going for the Drowner instead, setting up the Karen. Are you? What? Oh
wow,
my God!
Man. Are you guys taking notes right here? Freddy Babes showing it how it's done, going up 2-0 against Tailbot.
What a God!
I was talking to Freddy Babes earlier today. He actually thought that Tailbot had the chance of winning, but Freddy Babes also thought that he had a chance of getting into the finals. So either he was having a self-fulfilling prophecy of losing these finals, because nothing short of a reverse sweep right now for Tailbot, which he just came off of a reverse sweep.
That's true.
I mean,
now,
the story is great for both
Here's
of them.
the thing, though. Here's the thing, dude. You got to pull a reverse sweep against none other than the Emperor himself.
Good
And as a firm believer in the power and the glory of Nilfgaard, Freddy, he can pull this through. But Tailbot, like I said, has done the reverse sweep before. But Freddy Babes has pulled it off as well. Both the reverse sweepers going at it, ladies and gentlemen. This could be the very final match of the finals. And if Freddy does win this game, he will be proclaimed the Gwent Open #2 champion.
joining
is that properly said? Gwent Open #2 champion.
Well, champion of Gwent Open. Of course, this is a kind of our bronze level road to Challenger, which is ultimately the road to the Gwent Masters at the end of 2018. So far, that Hall of Fame only includes one player, and that is Shaggy. He won the previous Open, and of course, the very great life coach is the Challenger champion. We're going to go to the Challenger in December, and we're going to find out who is going to be the next champ, taking home that big ring. Right now, the players are looking at a big prize pool. Freddie Babes match point against his opponent Tailbot. Like we said, nothing short of a reverse sweep is going to save this for Tailbot. Freddie with one of the strongest decks in Gwent, Emir, Spies, Nilfgaard, and I'm sure you've been waiting for this moment here. This is a pretty important game. Magua, at the very least, we have nothing but Nilfgaard games left to cast. And of course, we have Blue Dream, Northern Realms.
Man, feels good. Now this is actually a really awkward opening hand for Tailbot. He's going to have to utilize both John Natalis and reinforcements to get some of the Blue Stripe Scouts out, and he has none of them in his opening hand. And he has one Blue Stripes Commando as well, as Freddie Babes leads off with his Impera Enforcer. Now, Tailbot does not have an immediate way to deal with this. Machines are pretty useful against Nilfgaard, especially combined with the likes of Radovid, which can lock 2 units. So Radovid is very efficient at saying no to the spy engine, right? But this hand is rather awkward, like I said, and Freddie Babes is just on fire. Man, I still can't get over that last game, like a 1 point, because of that just absolutely perfect sequencing.
Surgical decision making from Freddie Babes. I mean, we've seen a couple. I believe that was the third. If it's not the third, then it was even higher than that, because it's been at least 3 one-pointer victories. Just so close. I mean, it's been really exciting to watch these games play out. Just seeing those last cards and just seeing just how close these games can be, how every decision matters and every point ends up mattering in this case. One wrong move, and that could have been for Tailbot, of course. Respecting Coral, respecting Lugos at all times, respecting the cards that he could lose to, making that decision. It's so tempting to play that Monster Nest into that 20-point play, but when you know Coral is a threat, you just can't do it. Drowner just was enough there.
Now, it's important to note that even though he has giving Tailbot a very solid Radovid here, he has denied the Blue Stripe Scouts continuing, because John Natalis can only pull Marching Orders here, or Commander's Horn, right? But the only thing that he could have done was Marching Orders into a Reaver Scout and search for the other Blue Stripe Scouts. But because he took down that Blue Stripe Scouts, there is no longer no target, and Tailbot is going to miss out on both his thinning and his muster buffing. This is definitely a big predicament for Tailbot, even though Freddie Babes he can actually potentially Emir and return one of these Enforcers to his hand, and that will heal the card. But he's actually it seems like he's just gonna go with Kalak instead.
He's definitely gonna play Kalak, but I wonder if he picks up the Enforcer. I mean, Freddie played, that's a pretty huge state of confidence right now to just let your both, he's gonna take Kalak back, okay. But I mean, that's like, you're pretty confident, right? You're putting 2 of the best lockable targets in round 1 up against Radovid, like, go ahead, have your way with it. I'm okay with that. I have a plan anyway. Right now, Freddie Babes does have a pretty good lead right now. At this point, Tailbot's going to have to invest quite a bit. And of course, the Impera Brigade is down. Even though the Enforcer's more of a control card, the Impera Brigade is still a snowbally unit that needs respect as well. John Natalis is able to play a tactics card from the deck, which can be Reinforcement, Marching Orders, or Commander's Horn. Great versatility. Not a resource that you want to spend necessarily very early, but if you have to spend it, you go for it. Tailbot stuck with the Blue Stripes Commando in hand. That's one of those cards we were talking about. When you play with your whole deck, you want that card in your deck and not in your hand. So the draw wasn't great for Tailbot. Hopefully he gets a chance to mulligan away, but otherwise he just has a card that's just not that valuable to him.
And there's a Battering Ram, a machine that is 7 strength with deployability of damaging an enemy by 2. If it was destroyed, damage another enemy by 3, with a fresh crew of incrementing the damage dealt by the first hit by 1. So if there's 1 crewman, it will deal 3. If there's 2 crewmen right next to it, there will be 4. Freddie Babes with the excellent emissary positioning, denying the crewman being right next to the Battering Ram, because Radovid does have the crewman tag. So by placing that emissary between Radovid and the Battering Ram, if Tailbot were to play something like a Siege Master, for example, which re-triggers the machine, it will not get the aid from the crewman because of the emissary in the way. So very excellent positioning from Spies. Really, this is why I really love Spies. Spies is such a complex deck to play. Even though it's very powerful, it is definitely a top-tier deck. It's also very difficult to pilot, and there's so many different things to take into consideration. And we see 2 strong engine components with double brigade right there as the DJ goes down. gets the Temerian Infantry out of the deck, and pulls another Blue Stripe Scout.
that's
Okay, this
pretty
is really
good.
solid. That was a very risky DJ.
Now this is giving Freddy a little bit of information though, because that Blue Stripes Scout didn't pull out.
Yes,
Well, you know
yes.
what? Actually, I'm going to take that back because I do believe only one Blue Stripes Commando can be pulled at any given turn. So maybe I'll hold back on that comment.
Are you sure?
I am not.
No. He knows that he has a Blue Stripes Commando in his hand. If he would have played the other Blue Stripes Scout, he would just pull out the other Blue Stripes Commando out of the deck. So he has, you're right, he has information that he has a Blue Stripes Commando in his hand, which is very valuable because that means Freddy is not afraid to push here, knowing that one of the cards sitting in Tailbot's hand is actually rather useless. And he drops the Infiltrator, which converts the Battering Ram into a Spy, thus proccing the double Impair Brigade, and on top of that, leaving it vulnerable to potentially a Nausicaa Brigade, which can damage it by 7 and provide Freddy Babes with a 16 strength swing if you were to go for that.
I never trusted that Battering Ram anyway. I knew it was suspicious looking from the moment I saw it.
Yeah, betrayed by a ram.
Top
Feels bad,
10
man.
anime betrayals. Battering Ram #1. Freddy Babes does have a lot of potential power in his hand, of course. Being able to play Kaok again to source another emissary. Of course, we see Iris. Now there's no Nausicaa Brigade in his hand at this point. So, but he is able to kind of show that he could have it.
I think we're gonna see Horn here.
Yeah.
Or Marching Orders. I think Marching Orders can make more sense. Marching Orders into the last Blue Stripe Scout. Oh no, Command's Horn. Okay, he wants to push hard. He wants to take advantage of the fact that he's going second, and he wants to make a very high tempo play and put Freddy in a very difficult spot here, as he is 25 points ahead. That's a crazy amount to surpass. This definitely puts Freddy in a predicament. Very nice timing with John Natalis there by Tailbot.
It's a high commitment play, right?
Yep.
So Freddy's basically bought John Natalis at this point, but I think that this point total is pretty hard to go up. Freddy Babes would have to go down 2 cards to take this round, because I'm pretty sure Tailbot would be happy to pass this deep into round 1 with Freddy Babes not being able to overtake that score. Now, Freddy's made some magic happen going down 2 cards before, but I don't know if this is going to be. He's going to play into it.
Gonna go with a Kalak into the Emissary.
This is what
and gonna pull the
does.
other
Ooh,
Impair
this is gonna be
Brigade
good.
and gets that 69, which is a very sexy number, but not enough to surpass the 74 strength point that Tailbot has. Tailbot does have the ability to force a -2 here, which is not a terrible idea. The problem is that Spies can get very swingy, and if Freddy Babes reaches a point in which he can get that card advantage back, he could put him in a bad spot. But I think that Tailbot could really go for the pass here. Like, it's not a bad opportunity.
It's such a great opportunity. Tailbot he's up in cards and up in points, and Freddy Babes has 3 Emperor Brigades on the board, which is
got a
just
good
going to keep
ballista, though.
snowballing, and it's going to be really hard to catch up at this point. Especially when if you're pushing all cards. If this is an all-in round 1, Tailbot has a card that is just not going to give him any value, but he is considering playing into this. This is obviously a great time to pass, but it looks like Tailbot has a different idea. He hasn't committed yet, and there it is. There's the commitment. He's going to take the full extra 9 points, 15-point ballista here, going ahead by 20 points. He really just wants to take this round, make sure that Freddy doesn't have a chance here. I mean,
while
it's a
forcing
similar
your opponent,
situation.
while forcing your opponent to go down -2 is generally a very good thing. It's always better to win on an even card state. So Tailbot feels like he can still push him. That ballista generated a lot of power because he had 2 crewmen right next to each other with that Radovid and the Blue Stripe Scout. And he's able to get some nice value out of it and still have a 20-point lead over the opponent. And he's going to actually get the win in round 1 on an even card state, which, like I said, is so good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Don't count Freddy out yet. I think anybody that's been doing that has been definitely eating his or her words as time makes fools of us all as we look back on the things that we said before. Freddy Babes just showing us that he can make it happen. Doesn't matter if he goes first, doesn't matter how many cards are in his hand. He's finding ways to do it. He is on match point right now with a very, very good deck. There's the mulligan. Blue Stripe Scout.
Nice.
That's exactly what you want, right? You get the Scout, you get the Commando out and the Scout in. Scout's going to pull the Commando, and then you're right back in business here. Tailbot on even cards. Going first, could just go ahead and do the open pass right now if he believes his long round is better. And I think that, Nilfgaard can make a lot of stuff happen in a short and long round, so a lot of consideration needs to be made here. He's going to go for the pass, even though he had more opportunities.
I expect the Guardian
to
here.
Guardian's going to come down here to take it. Going to clog up Tailbot's draws a little bit, although, well, he can just mulligan it away, I suppose. But maybe clog up Dijkstra later, as it can just pull out those worthless, well, not worthless, of course, they are worth 6 each, but they don't do very much if you're running Dijkstra.
Draws into Joaquin. Gonna have to replace mulligan away one of these Spies.
And he mulliganed into the commando that he was just trying to get rid of.
Oh,
So
I
frustrating
didn't
for
see
Tailbot.
that. Oh, no. Oh, excellent mulligan for Freddy, though. He's one card down, but his hand is fire. Sorry for that.
No, it's great.
But basically, Tailbot's card advantage has been pretty much nullified here, as he has mulliganed the way into the Blue Stripes Commando, who just does not want to stay in the deck.
Yeah.
Like,
No
he just,
Dijkstra
he
either.
just wants to fight, man. Oh, things just got very interesting. Now, the key part here is that he has the Blue Dream and he can pull off a Dijkstra, but the Guardian has definitely weakened the potential of the DJ right there. As both players are probably going to the graveyards, seeing what they can resurrect. As Freddy Babies is going to lead off with an emissary onto, and Vicar Medic onto the emissary, and he's going to pull a. Ooh, this is a bit awkward. I guess you take Nausicaa Brigade here, right? Well, no, Nausicaa Brigade is the only one you have, so that's awkward as hell.
Yeah, I think you have. Well, I mean,
I think you just turned the Vicar Medic into a spy here.
I mean, they both kind of. It's tough, right?
You don't want to unspy the opponent's thing. You just convert that into your. Interesting.
I guess you do. I guess you do that. Just want to also clarify, Dijkstra was played earlier in the game, so Hand Marvin's Blue Dream is able to source Dijkstra. On Tailbot's side is able to play Dijkstra for a second time. That's just one of the options that Hand Marvin's Blue Dream has. It's a pretty good one, especially if you're trying to source some really good cards from your deck. But Tailbot does have a card that is not all that great, which is the Commando, which he's playing right now. Just Freddy Babes probably happy to see that. And Dijkstra also could pull out those Lesser Guardians that the Guardian put into his deck. So Hand Marvin's Blue Dream on Dijkstra could actually really whiff, really not be great.
Mr. Garmith, going to drop Van Hemar right there in the Siege Row, going to target that Blue Stripes Commando. Clearly setting up for that Iris. He's definitely setting up that Frost to be able to proc the Iris with ease, as he still has 7 cards in his hand. So while he has stuff like Vigor Medic, Brain Farm into Joaquin, I don't think it's 100% secured the fact that he's going to get the cards that he needs to proc that Iris. So setting up that Frost in the back row is very decent indeed. The question is, will Tailbot realize that his opponent is setting that up, and will he try to stack things up in that row to make it a little bit harder for said Iris to go down, or will he just avoid that row? He seems to just avoid the row completely, not wanting to give him any value. That's going to be very interesting. Not only does he have Frost, but he also has the likes of Assassination to proc that as well. This round, oh man, this is just...
I feel like, well, no, forget what I was going to say. I mean, I'm trying to think of all the ways that Freddy Babes, like when exactly he's going to be playing Iris. He has a Nausicaa Brigade in his deck, and he's...
excellent chain. Oh, boy.
Oh, this'll do.
That's fantastic. Taking out the crewmen as well, denying the value from the machines. Freddy is in a very strong position, and he is super concentrated. Tunnel Vision is turned on, as Tailbot is really debating what to do here. Double machine in his hand with the Reaver Scout and Ronvid, which does have the crewman tag and has yet to be played in this match. Ronvid tends to be a card that you play early on, but Tailbot has been drawing him later down the line a few games here, as he does have Shani and he does have the ability to reutilize Dijkstra. So he still has very powerful plays at his disposal, right? But Iris.
Dijkstra is hindered, though. Dijkstra could be bad. Dijkstra could just be very weak, and I don't think Freddy doesn't want to give any other opportunities to Tailbot for Blue Dream. I mean, ultimately he will have to, as Tailbot's up in cards. So those gold cards in Rain Farm and Assassination. Assassination may end up just being the Blue Dream target, which is just going to get those points right back. Tailbot's not giving him a lot of great options, though, for the Assassination.
By the way, whenever he says that line, I have no idea what to say.
Blood alone can my maid's honor be unbesmirched. Something like that.
What is unbesmirched? What is that?
Well, you unbesmirched the
And
honor.
he got it! Boom! Oh, the proc.
Man.
Because of the Enforcer, he's able to... It's kind of like a Wallhunt Rider in a way.
Yeah.
And he's able to proc it immediately, boosting him up to 45 points. 45 points, 28 point strength lead over Tailbot.
That's a devastating play right there. Tailbot just doesn't have an opportunity to answer that play. It's just going to be a 25-point silver. Call it a day.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
I mean, it's a great board for Tailbot to replay Assassination if he thinks the Dijkstra's a liability due to the Lesser Guardians in the deck. But I mean, this is now going to be a pretty big point lead. I mean, we still see Rainfarn, which can be pulling Joaquin, which can be an incredible swing on top of all of that. The Infiltrator, of course, is able to, turn a unit spying, which gives a little bit more value to a Nausicaa Brigade, perhaps, which we know is still in the deck and likely can be pulled from Joaquin Devet. And of course, the Assassination representing 16 points. if it's able to achieve full value here.
I think you go for assassination here. You take out Ronvid and you knock out the Ballista in case your opponent has the likes of Siege Master. Yeah, he's going over his graveyard, debating what he has left. Because he sees certain things in his graveyard, he's kind of like banking on whether, you know, the odds of him having certain cards. He's going to opt to not do that just yet. He's going to target that Ballista. The Ballista, he has not played Nausicaa Brigade yet, so if he's able to pull that with Joaquin, he can get a little bit of extra value, 1 point to be precise, if he targets the Ballista instead of Joaquin, if he pulls the Nausicaa Brigade out of the deck. Freddy Babes is in a very strong position, 30 points over Tailbot, while Tailbot has to have some massive swings here, and he needs some luck on his side. He cannot pull the Lesser Guardians out of his deck with Dijkstra if he wants to win this game, and there are 2 sitting in right there. Out of those 7 cards left, 2 of those are 6 strength melee locked bronzes, and that's not something you want to see.
They do nothing at all.
It
would make Dijkstra an 8-point gold, which is not, I mean, if it went as bad as it possibly could go for Tailbot.
Oh boy.
So,
oh boy, here we go.
Option there. Shawnee being considered here from Tailbot. I mean,
medic. If he were to get something like a bullet, oh my god. Oh, okay, no, he can't kill that with assassination. Oh, he misses out by 1, because that would be absolutely bonkers. Like, whew.
I mean, he can kill it. He can kill it by putting both.
Yeah, but he loses a lot of value.
You lose a lot of value, of course.
He's really preserving that assassination for the last. Oh yeah, he wants to. Yeah, he.
He gets the brigade. Good night. Oh, so good.
He can hit that. He can hit the armor actually, and potentially. Oh, he's next level plays.
And now he can potentially assassinate. I mean,
next level plays. Oh man, Freddy at 71 points. Tailbot needs a miracle. Look at that face.
Just get a good look at this guy right here.
He's definitely the pinnacle of emotions. Am I right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we know Freddy's a pretty cool customer right now, but he needs to really turn on the air conditioning for this one because this is intense.
Oh, man. And he's going to deny that Reaver Scout, isn't he? Oh, no. Oh, my lord. Yep.
Of course he is.
Oh, getting some massive value. 64 to 17.
Tailbot's just going to have to throw a Hail Mary here. I don't know if Dijkstra's able to do anything for him.
I don't know if it's even possible, but honestly, I'm not doing math.
Yeah,
whatever happens, happens. No math.
Miguel, we're on this roller coaster together, my friend. The bar is down. We are going up the hill. Oh, he gets the worst! Freddy with a big smile on his face.
So perfect. And that scout is dead.
Oh, God.
And that's all she wrote. 3-0. Freddy with the win. Oh, my lord, this kid. What can I say?
Wow, Freddy with the sweep. Unbelievable performance there. 1, 2, 3. Call it a day. Tailbot did his very best, but Freddy, his best was a little bit better. Both players are going to go to Challenger. They both should be very, very happy with their performance today. But right now, Freddy Babes just got a nice little extra little bit of lining in his bank account.